Next, we'll integrate the Facebook login process into the code. To get the native login working, we only need one step. Add the build hint facebook.appid equals the app ID. App ID is the ID from the dashboard on the Facebook app page. This will make Facebook work on the devices almost seamlessly. Notice that since we have effectively two apps, we'll need to add an app ID to the user app and the driver app. To get login working on the simulator, we'll need a bit more. We'll also need to write code that supports the login process within the Facebook or Google login form class. Facebook Connect is a subclass of the login class that lets us log in into Facebook and request publish permissions if necessary. The client ID and secret aren't used on devices. These are here strictly for the benefit of the simulator. If you don't need to debug on the simulator, the lines until set callback are redundant. Notice that we have two versions of these values for the Uber app and the driver app. The callback is invoked upon login success failure. If the login is successful, we get the token from Facebook, which is an authorization token. This token allows us to access information within the Facebook Graph API to query facts about the user. Notice that we have a new constructor for enter password form, which I will discuss soon. This triggers the actual login, but the method is asynchronous and login will only actually succeed or fail when the callback is reached. Before we go to the Google login support, let's look at the additional changes we need to get both Facebook and Google working. I already discussed the changes to enter password form, so let's start there. The constructor accepts one of the three options. The other two should be null in this case. I also updated the user service method accordingly. I'll get into that shortly. Notice I snipped some code below here to keep the entire block in one page, but it's still there. The login method now accepts the Google/Facebook credentials as an optional argument. Two of the three values for identification will be null, so we can set all of them and only one will have a value. Next, let's see the changes to the user service class. This is the main method we use, which we broke up for the other types. The generic implementation demonstrates why I chose to change the argument names from phone to V, so it can now suit all permutations of this method. Login is almost identical to the original code. I added the new values to the mix. If they are null, the arguments won't be sent and everything will work as expected. Once this is done, Facebook login should work on the device and simulator.